Hi, everybody. It's Miss Jackie with Botetourt County Libraries. Thank you for joining us at Storytime today. Today we're going to talk about a color and a letter. What color are the letters that are on the board behind me? I know you know. What color are they? That's right. I heard you say red. They are red. The word red begins with the letter R, and that's the letter that's on the board behind us. A capital letter R and a lowercase letter R. Now, can you tell me what sound the letter R makes? I heard you say R. That's right, R. Red begins with the letter R and it begins with a R sound. Very good. Let's think of other words that begin with the letter R. Let's see. I am thinking of something that we see in the sky after a rain when the sun comes out. It has beautiful colors. What am I thinking of? Yes, a rainbow. Rainbow. We're going to put our rainbow on the board. That begins with the letter R. Very good, guys. All right, let's think of something else. Let's see. A few weeks ago, astronauts went into space. They were riding in something that begins with the letter R. Can you think of what that word might be? Rocket. Yes, rocket. Good job, guys. We're going to put this rocket on the board. What color is this rocket? Yes, it's a red rocket. Let's put that right there. All right, let's think of something else that begins with the letter R. Let's see, what other words begin with a R sound? R. I heard, there you go, I heard a robot. A robot begins with the letter R, robot. And what color is this robot? Red, that's right, red, good job. All right, one more thing. I'm thinking of an animal that we see in our yards sometimes. It's a fuzzy little animal with a little cotton tail, has long ears. That's right. Yes, I'm thinking about a rabbit. Our story today is going to be about Peter Rabbit. So let's put Peter Rabbit up here on the board. Very good, guys. The letter R and a red letter R. All right, let's sing a song that has a letter R in it. The song is called Roly Poly. It goes like this. Roly poly, roly poly, up, 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 up. Roly, roly poly, roly, roly poly, down, 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 down. Roly poly, roly poly, out, 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 out. Roly, roly poly, roly, roly poly, in, 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 in. Roly poly, roly poly, fast, 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 fast. Roly, roly poly, roly, roly poly, slow, slow, slow. Slow, slow, slow. Good job, guys. That was awesome. All right, we're going to have a story about Peter Rabbit. The story of Peter Rabbit is an awesome story, and it has beautiful illustrations, beautiful pictures in it. So let's get started talking about that story. The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. Uh-oh. Do you think Peter might find trouble in Mr. McGregor's garden? Let's find out. First, he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. Oh my, have you ever lost your shoes? Did you find them in the garden under the cabbages and potatoes? After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. Look at that lovely jacket. What color is that jacket? Yes, it is a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Now, what do you suppose those sparrows said to him? Do you think they might have said, "Come on, Peter, we know you can do it"? What else might they have said? Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him, and rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden under a flower pot. He began to turn them over, carefully looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. "Kerty-choo!" Mr. McGregor was after him in no time, and tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Oh, Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity, lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back toward the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes. But presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed up in a wheelbarrow. There he saw Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was this gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. I don't think it's working, do you? The blackbirds don't look afraid. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered, what had he done with his clothes? It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoon to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. Yum, that sounds delicious, doesn't it? The end. This story and other tales by Beatrix Potter can be found on Project Gutenberg at gutenberg.org. I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I do. Beatrix Potter is one of my very favorite storybook writers. She created the pictures in that story too. She is the illustrator. She used watercolors to create Peter Rabbit and his mother and sisters and all the other characters in her stories. So I thought you might like to learn to draw a rabbit today. You can see the one that I've done on the board behind me. I'm going to show you how to draw a rabbit, and then you can color it using watercolors like Beatrix Potter if you'd like, or crayons, markers, anything you'd like. Now this is really easy. We're going to learn to draw this rabbit together. We're going to make the rabbit's body and ears by drawing the letter U, okay? So we have our paper here already like this. We are going to draw the letter U. Now we're not going to draw it all the way over the whole paper. We're going to start up here at the top and we're going to draw a big letter U like that. All right, now that's pretty easy. The next thing we're going to do is draw a letter U down here. We're going to draw a big letter U right here and another one inside like that. Over here, we're going to draw another letter U like this and a smaller one inside. And when we turn this upside down, we see we already have a rabbit's body and ears. All we have to do is give it a nose. We'll make a triangle. Let's make a triangle right there for the rabbit's nose. We're going to make 2 ovals right above that nose like this. See how easy this is? We're going to color those in. I'm going to make mine black, but you can color them any way you'd like. I'll make that nose black too. All right, right, we're almost finished. Now I'm going to make a J. We're going to start making his little cheeks and his mouth. I'll make a letter J like that, and a backwards letter J on the other side, just like that. How about that? Now, wasn't that easy? Let's give this rabbit some whiskers. Just 3 little lines like that. The same over here. And right there, now we have a rabbit. Then you can color your rabbit or the background any way you'd like it to be. Guys, you were great at drawing. You're great listeners. Now, don't forget to use the time spent watching today's video and doing the craft in your Beanstack account for the Summer Reading Challenge. Remember, when you go to the activity section of the Beanstack website to record your reading and your activities, that you'll need a code for story time. And the story code for today's story time is JH200. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for joining us for story time. Be sure to join Miss Jamie on Fridays and Miss Megan on Mondays. And we'll see you soon.